Greetings and welcome. This is your friend and brother Prophet Senga Kalinda, and this is a program that we have, which is Teach Me to Profit, and have it every Saturday, 4:30 p.m. Central African Time, and Central African Time, and this is a very good program for those who want to start business or you're in business, you want to grow to another level. This is a program for you. And shall we just pray and open together in a word of prayer? Thank you, Heavenly Father, you're exalted, you're sovereign, your majesty. From eternity to eternity, you are God, and there is no other. Thank you, mighty Father, we worship you. For Lord, your word says, I am the Lord your God, the Holy One of Israel, the one who teacheth thee how to profit. We pray, mighty Father, may you teach us how to profit this afternoon. In Jesus' mighty name. Amen and amen. Hallelujah. Thank you so much for joining us, wherever you're joining us from. Please feel free to share this video. Hallelujah. And today, we'll continue from where we started last week. And last week, we spoke about knowledge, why it is important for you to get knowledge and skills, because this is the greatest asset that one can ever possess in business. I know there are so many people that say, oh, I do not have the capital to start a business and all that, but we have seen stories and situations where someone has been given money or a grant and others have gotten their paycheck, their pension, and you find that they want to get into business within a short space of time. They lose all their lifetime investment in savings. Why? Because they're lacking certain knowledge or necessary skills that are needed for business success. So this is why we have this program, as the Bible says in Isaiah 48 and verses 17, that I am the Lord your God, the Holy One of Israel, the one who teacheth thee how to profit, hallelujah, and leads you in the way that you should go. So God is very much interested to see you profiting, to see you increase, to see you grow from one level to another. Like I always say in this show, that if you're not making a profit in this in the business, then it's a charity, because the business is supposed to make profit. I know there's certain times when you start in the business, of course you might go 2, 3, 4 months or so maybe without making profit, because maybe you're just trying to trade the market and all that, but that should not continue. If it continues, then you are not in business, then it's a charity, because even God is interested to see your profit, and that's why He wants to teach you. And the way to teach them is to instruct. God wants to instruct you step by step, not just that, but to also lead you in the way that you should go, to say, no, do not go into this business, to go into this other business, or this is what you're supposed to do at this particular time. And I have seen God guiding me at each and every time, and it has really helped me to be where we are today as the companies that we have. We have seen the growth, and we have seen the hand of God, and God has guided us to start a business from without capital. And today I'll be sharing some of these things. How can you start a business without capital? So last week I spoke about most people want to confuse or mix the words, because most people think they are doing business when actually it's just survival. So there's what we call survival stage, there's what we call the business stage, and there's also what we call, there are also deals. And most people think that whenever they get into a deal and they make some money, they think that's a business. That's not a business. A deal is something that you do maybe once off. You just come across to say, oh, find maybe someone is selling some commodities. It might be soya beans or any other thing that someone is selling, and you find yourself that you got maybe you know someone who can buy and add a small markup, or you are offered a commission from the seller, and you find yourself getting something. At the end of the day, that is not a business. That is some kind of a skill. That is a deal. Unless if you are doing that consistently, you been doing that and all that, eventually then it's fit to be a business. And then there's also what we call survival. We spoke about that, and this is what is affecting a lot of people. I noticed that it used to affect our growth as well, because you find that you cannot focus or concentrate on one thing. You just want to, whatever comes, because you're trying to survive, you want to feed your family. Nothing is wrong with that. I actually encourage people to do that until you get to a level where you can say, now I think I've got a stable source of income that can make me concentrate on something that is going to, make me have a fortune, that is going to make me have to build something for my family, or leave, an inheritance for my family. Then you can say, I don't need to be in the survival mode. So today we'll simply be talking about a few things that we can do in terms of business, and how can we start a business without capital with very limited resources. So we'll talk about the different sectors that one can do and all that. So probably maybe today our focus on a few sectors. One of them is the agriculture sector, and then I also talk about the digital space, the digital space, Internet of Things, and all that. And actually, today, one of the biggest industries has to do with internet, or let me say, internet, or it has to do with the web, not just that, but let me call it e-commerce. This is the biggest industry that is there. As of 2021, the industry was worth over $21 trillion. Imagine how big the industry is. If you got into it and just said, okay, I just want to have, for example, maybe 0.5% of the market, believe you me, just that you'll be a millionaire in dollars, if not a billionaire. So these are some of the things that we'll be talking about today. So there's agriculture sector, the e-commerce business, and then talk about a few that which has to do with the digital space, and we might talk about mining and some other areas. So how can you start a business without capital, with limited capital? What businesses can one do? Hallelujah. So I'll begin with the agriculture sector. So one thing that I talk about business is you don't expect to start a business today and become a millionaire. That is, again, might not be a business. That is a deal. So if you're talking about a business, something that you start today and hoping to grow it over a number of years until it reaches a point and stage where you want it to be. So we are talking about things that you can do consistently over a period of time, and at the end of the day, at the end of the year, be able to have some profit and all that. So I'll start with the agriculture sector, and these are some of the things that we can look at. And the agriculture sector, there's so many things that can be done. I know most people say no. Actually, agriculture is very demanding in terms of capital input and all that. Yes, it is, but there are certain things that you can do with very little resources or input. The most important thing that you can do with agriculture, of course, you can start maybe a backyard garden. You can start a backyard garden. There are many things that you can do. Maybe you can do herbs. You can get a packet of herbs or some vegetables. Of course, the most important thing about business is marketing, which is one of the most important skills that every business person that calls himself a businessman, an entrepreneur, or a businesswoman should be able to have to possess is marketing skills. So you need to learn how to market your products, because you can have a very good product, but if you don't know how to market that product, believe you me, your product, if you are talking about perishable goods, agriculture, and all that, just perish or to go to waste, and you incur losses that you are not prepared to have incurred. So marketing is a very important skill that every business personnel should be able to possess. So we'll talk about the agriculture sector. There are many things that you can do. You can start a backyard garden as long as you've got some water and a small field where you are, you can try to grow some vegetables. But normally, I encourage people to grow high value crops because you need to look at maximize your land or your space. You can maximize your land or your space. You can grow maybe some garlic. You find that maybe you can get some cloves of garlic if you spend maybe 200 kwacha buying some bulbs of garlic, or let me say put it in dollars, maybe 10, 15, $20. You get some bulbs of garlic, and then remove the cloves, and plant them. You find that, of course, it takes some time. Probably it takes about 5 to 6 months for you to have a harvest of garlic, if I'm not mistaken. But the returns that you are going to get will be far much more than you planting these other vegetables and other things. Of course, you have incurred some cost in terms of watering, but you find that that is something that you already pay for. Obviously, you pay for water bills and all that. Why not use that opportunity for the bills to pay themselves using something? So these are certain things that you can do that the agriculture sector. Just start small. What's important is making yourself known and all that. And then, of course, you start small, and then you begin building up, and until you reach a point and level where you can afford to grow, maybe go into get a small piece of land, a farm, and anything. And the other good thing about our country, especially in Zambia, you find that land is not expensive. If you go for traditional land, that is, you find that it's not very expensive. You might go for traditional land, you find that you might be given maybe 4 hectares, 4 hectares at a very low cost. You find yourself maybe paying 5,000 much, and know that that is something that you can, you can use to start something that is going to benefit you in the long run. I'll give an example of certain things that we are doing ourselves. You find that we are so many times you find that maybe we buy fruits like lemons, avocados, but we normally throw away the seeds. You can use those seeds to plant trees. You make some seedlings and all that. Then later on, take them to your small piece of land, the traditional land, and all that. At the end of the year, you find that within a space of 2 3 years, there are certain plants that you start harvesting, and especially things like these fruit trees. They don't need a lot of management costs or a lot of attention. You find that the moment they grow, so you must be able to do your timing very well. That maybe you plant them during the rain season, maybe just before the onset of the rain season, because once they catch the first rains, those at least will be sufficient enough for the plants to grow up to a certain level where they can survive on their own without you having much putting in much attention and resources. Of course, I know there will be other things that might be needed in terms of maybe pesticides and all that. But if you don't have, they'll still grow. Of course, maybe you find that the yield might be affected. It may not be as much as someone who has used maybe pesticides to do some pests and all that. But eventually, you're going to have a harvest. Imagine, uh, let's say on average, you have 10 seeds on 10 seeds from a lemon fruit. You find that if you have 10 fruits or so, you are buying one maybe for 5 kwacha. If not even 5 kwacha, sometimes you find yourself that in a situation where maybe you buy maybe 3 4 lemons in 5 kwacha. That is maybe probably even a quarter of $1 in terms for our international viewers. And you find that you get maybe 30, 50 lemons, which gives us maybe 500 seeds. And then let's say we give it a 20% germination rate. You already have maybe about 300 plants that you can grow on a field. And at the end of the day, after 2 3 years or so, you may not spend much in terms of the test side, because they're looking at people who don't have capital or very little capital. The traveling cost in case you are working and all that, you find that you can get a leave to say at this particular time you will live in such a way that you know that the rains will be starting soon, maybe November or end of October. If you are in Zambia or Central Africa, somewhere there, get a leave, and by then you'd have already gotten a small piece of land from your village or anywhere that you can. Actually, you can even rent some of these places. You find that there are people who've got land they do not utilize, and you can. Some people you find that you can talk to them nicely to say, okay, I do not have the capital now to give you cash to rent, but I've got this project and I've started yielding fruits, so it results in 2 3 years time. I'll be giving you maybe a 15 or 20% of my income or profit in that way, if you can put it that way, and convince them to say, instead of me, for example, maybe paying $100 per month or per year or $500 per year for this field, from the results, according from the yields, according to my estimate, I'll be getting maybe $10,000 and you get 15% of that, that would be like almost 1,500, that they would have been getting almost 3 times more than what they would have gotten. So in business, you just have to be very sharp. You have to be an entrepreneur and look at how can I minimize costs, because business is about minimizing costs and uh, maximizing on the profit. So you need to minimize your costs, but that doesn't mean that you need to compromise on the quality of your produce or the quality on the results that you get. Because sometimes if you, there are certain businesses, when you just want to minimize your costs, you find that it's going to affect your yield and all that. So you must take a lot of things into consideration before you say, okay, I'm going to cut this down and do without this and without that. So these are certain things that you can do, and these are some of the things that we are doing as well. We are not telling you certain things that you know we are not doing. Recently, we managed to get some piece of land from somewhere in the villages and all this at a very, 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 very. Uh, not let me say, let me not use the word giveaway price, but a very affordable rate. This is money that most people can afford from their pay, including civil servants, actually, maybe half of your pay and all that. And you do some of these things, you find that some of you have got avocado plants and the seeds just go to waste. Of course, there are those other plants that you find that um, they take long to start yielding results, and it might take long, but there's what we call grafting. You might take your seeds, you plant them, and then maybe when they grow, you take them for grafting. So let us just take a short break. I want you to look at some of these things that we have done, and we'll be coming back shortly. And may God bless you. Just meditate on these things as we continue. Okay, so welcome back, and we are continuing from where we ended. Today we may not manage to do 50 minutes as we normally do. We are at a certain place in the background, and we don't have any power source to plug in our gadgets. So we'll see where we can end. We might need to cut uh, our broadcast short, of course, but we'll continue next. The way to cover up for this. And so we've spoken about that. You might get avocado seeds and all that. You go and plant them. There's so many things that you can do in the agriculture sector. And then the other things that you can do as well, you find that we go into the digital space. Nowadays, there's what we call drop shipping. There's what we call drop shipping. Drop shipping, we've seen this kind of business actually not just on the internet, but even in real big business life or sectors where you see that that these people that we normally call cowboys, some of them actually find that they don't own the things that they sell. They don't want the things that they sell. Most of the things you find that they get them from the nearby shops, and then they've been interested to sell that to go and buy something. For example, for 10. can be done. These are some of the things that can be done, and drop shipping is simply like that. So you find that with drop shipping, there's what we call the front office and the back office. So with drop shipping, simply means delivering goods to a client. For example, I'll get on my laptop, I'll get on my phone, and order something. Even here in Zambia, you find that a lot of people are using drop shipping maybe to order their snacks, their lunch, and maybe they order a pizza and all that, and someone brings it to you, brings it to your office or your home. And not just that, even some other things you've seen in cooking. So these are certain things that you can do. And most of these drop shipping websites are not very expensive. Of course, you might say, no, I do not have the necessary skills and all that. You find most of these things on the internet. You find them on YouTube. You find them on the e-commerce websites that offer these, and you find that for you to start, you may just need about most. You find that most e-commerce platforms range from for the smallest package or the cheapest package, you might find that they range from around 19 to $30 for the cheapest package per month, and that is the subscription per month. And then, of course, you might need to buy what you call a domain name. There are some places where you buy domain names as cheap as $10, sometimes if you're lucky, depending on how depending on how how depending on the domain name that you're choosing. Some domain names you find that they're very popular, or they might be very popular, or they might fetch a very high price on the market. That is all for a lot of thousands of dollars. But just find a very simple domain name to get you started, and then the hosting is done by the same e-commerce platforms. On top of that, they give you a lot of literature to help you start and all that. So before you make those payments, try to do some research, what products I'll be doing, what is my target market, and all that. You find that you won't spend money buying the products. Like if I was supposed to say, okay, I want to start selling handbags, or I want to start selling laptops, you find that, for example, maybe a handbag, the cheapest handbag maybe is costing me $10, $15. And if I go to the wholesalers, they'll tell me, okay, maybe you need to buy maybe 50 handbags for a start, or 30 handbags, whatever it is. You find that I'll need to spend something, maybe $500 to get started, maybe $300, $200 to get started to buy the physical stuff. I may also need to maybe rent a small place where I'll be selling those things. Or if I don't rent, I'll still need to be using transport maybe to take them to my clients and all that. But with drop shipping, I won't spend anything on buying the stock, because I'll just have what we call, I'll be getting these products maybe from another dropshipper, or maybe a wholesaler that we've gotten an understanding with. I'll tell him I'll be getting these products from you. I've got market, I'll be selling to my clients. So you find that when you press the order, because normally with dropshipping sites or e-commerce, you have to pay before you get the product. You pay. I'll use that money, go and get the product, and then take it to one of the couriers. You may have to have an understanding with one of these couriers. If it's a local thing, you find that you may make use of motorbike couriers. If it's international, there are some other cheap couriers or freight agencies that you can use to get your product delivered. So you haven't spent anything. Actually, you're using the customer's money to make money. So you just need to do the maths very well. And so for today, I think we are going to end here. We're going to talk more next week on dropshipping and other e-commerce platforms that you can use to make money using very little resources or very small and little capital. So may God richly bless you, and thank you so much for having joined us this afternoon, morning, evening, wherever it is that you are listening from and watching me from. May God richly bless you. Tune in next week at the same time on Teach Me to Profit. This has been your friend and brother, Prophet Musenga. Shalom, shalom, and God richly bless you.